Salute to everybody. We back with another one. Salute to everybody. Scary times. NBA YoungBoy is back outside in a different type of timing. This is what's going on. We got NBA YoungBoy Atlanta show has been canceled. We already know that his last Atlanta show, he came out, he performed. Everybody hates YoungBoy. I hate YoungBoy, and it caused a stir online. Everybody is talking about it. He dissed everybody in that song. He dissed Dirk. He dissed India. He was coming at Lil Baby. He came at Gucci Mane. So many artists. My question to anybody that's watching this video, whether present or in the future, do you think that any of these artists should respond to NBA YoungBoy? If you do think he should, or any of them should, put it in the comments if you think that they shouldn't respond to YoungBoy and just let YoungBoy just get about his business, because you know YoungBoy manic. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Gates will tell you that. You know what I mean? They from the same sides. He'll tell you that. Listen, that's my young boy, but he be bugging. But also, Fani Willis gets exposed again. Damn, Fani.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
It's nasty work with Fani Willis. And then we got Tsu Surf snitching on the Rollin 60s. Did Tsu Surf snitch on the Rollin 60s? This is another big topic online right now, a big point of discussions, that some people are saying that he snitched because he took this plea deal. Some people are saying that he didn't snitch because he ain't say and point somebody out and say you specifically. But we do know in the paperwork, he did take a plea deal, and he did say that everything he did was in furtherance of the gang. So if you're taking a plea and saying in furtherance of the gang, does that mean you snitching? But if everybody takes a plea and you be the only one that don't, so you know what I mean? Sometimes it's not as black and white as we think it is, but we will be getting down to the whole nitty gritty of the whole story and try to break it down. But salute to everybody in the building. You already know the vibes. Let's get into a first breakdown and just show about the cancellation of NBA YoungBoy show. So let's just get to that first. All right, cool. Let's just get to that. We get that out the way, put that on the board. Let's put this on.
Of rapper NBA YoungBoy, as State Farm Arena says it's canceling his show scheduled just 2 days from now. State Farm Arena just posted the announcement to its website tonight after NBA YoungBoy performed there just last night. The announcement didn't give a reason for the cancellation. It just said that it had made the decision to cancel the show scheduled for Saturday, October 18th. Now, if you bought a ticket through Ticketmaster, we're told that those refunds will be issued automatically. If you purchase from a third-party reseller, then the arena says that you need to reach out to your point of purchase.
You can see there is the reason for the cancellation, because Fani Willis, of course, you know, they're going to make it gang, inciting violence, inciting beef. You know, it did cause a stir in Atlanta, the performance, but I think that is some of the last energy that Atlanta has had like that in a long time. That vibe, when young boys out there, they gave him a key to the city, all types of different things like that. You know what I mean? So that is a lot, man. That is a lot. We will keep an eye on it, though. Let me know what y'all thinking about the NBA YoungBoy situation. Let me know if you think that any of the artists should respond to him. You know what I mean? This is the first time I'm seeing him perform it. If y'all have seen him perform this song ever like this before, let me know. Get in the comments. I don't even have to look. If you've seen it, let me know. I just think that this was a first of a first. And it's sad for all the people that did buy tickets and do want to see YoungBoy, and the show being canceled, and now they can't. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that bought a ticket and was trying to pop out. But look, man, it's a lot going on. We also got Whack 100 was trying to expose Byron Blake. Whack 100 was trying to expose Byron Blake for exposing Tsu Surf, saying that Tsu Surf is a rat. So I do want to play a little bit of this Byron Blake so that he could go into the paperwork. I did do a paperwork read on my channel. All you got to do is go and check it on the channel. Make sure everybody's subscribing to Uda Ongo, OOTAONGO. That's my main channel. And 25K. We moving. Salute to everybody that's there. Make sure you're part of the channel. And go check the reads. The reads is here. The reads is there. And so you can see the paperwork kind of for yourself. But it's a lot. It's a lot. So let's just get to this and we're going to see what the hell going on.
No, I don't know the nigga. Listen to me. The overt actions from the investigation is what has identified the members that are part of the enterprise. That means their phone conversations, niggas getting caught doing whatever they was doing, right?
Now, according to what this guy just said, Surf and his homies were identified by their overt acts, the things that the government found on them, right? And if you look at the actual documents, you'll see that the government says Cox committed overt acts in furtherance of the enterprise, and then they list his overt acts. Now, these overt acts are the different crimes that each associate is accused of committing. And this is why Surf and all his people keep saying everybody had their own charges, because everybody had their own overt acts that fell under count 1 of the racketeering indictment. So you charged with racketeering, but everybody had different roles that they played in furtherance of the gang. Now, like I said, Surf overt acts are listed right here. And as y'all can see, it says WW. Now, if you look at this other document, it says Warden has worked with enterprise members and associates to distribute controlled substances. Multiple examples of Warden involvement in drug activity, which constitute predicate acts in furtherance of the enterprise, are detailed in the indictment. For example, as described as detailed in overt act WW. On or about October 6, 2020, Warden and Cox, Tsu Surf, discussed a plan to distribute marijuana. It's right there. These two have the same overt act, WW, a plan to distribute controlled substances. That's conspiring with other members to move marijuana across state lines. That's what they mean. These two have the same. So if they are identified by these overt acts, then these two, this overt act connects these two. Surf don't gotta say his name while he's actually entering the plea, because they already identify him by the overt acts. Now, when Surf is pleading out, if you look at line 5, it says, I just want to highlight a few areas there as it relates to Schedule A. I'm on page 9, Mr. Cox. And it indicates specifically as it relates to count 1, that is a RICO conspiracy, and it outlines certain facts under that, specifically as to, Act 1, Racketeering Act 1, Aggravated Assault, and Racketeering Act 2, Drug Conspiracy. They then ask him, Mr. Cox, were you a member of the Rollin 60s gang? He answers, yes, ma'am. He then asked him, did you conspire, that is, agree with other members and associates of the enterprise to commit at least 2 criminal acts in furtherance of the enterprise? He says yes. They then ask him, were you a leader or organizer? He says yes. They then ask him, did you commit overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy? He says yes. Now, you really got to pay attention to this part right here, because when they ask him, did he commit overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy? And he says yes. They then say, for example. Now they are listing specific overt acts that he participated in that furthered the conspiracy and the enterprise, right? They ask him, on or about January 29th of 2018, were you convicted of shooting at a rival gang member? He says yes. They then say, during that same time period, did you knowingly and intentionally conspire with other members and associates of the enterprise to distribute and possess with intent to distribute at least 40 but less than 60 kilograms of marijuana across state lines? He says, yes, ma'am. Now, they close this plea hearing out saying, is it fair to say that at the time you are pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty? He says, yes, ma'am. The court then asks the government, is there anything that they would like to put on the record? And they list 5 things. They start off with saying, first, the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crip is an enterprise as defined by, the statute that makes it a gang. Second, the activities of the enterprise affected interstate commerce. So they telling y'all they was crossing state lines with this. That's what makes it federal. Third, members and associates of the enterprise engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, and they state the law. Fourth, the Rollin 60s Crip gang is a structured entity with a core of personnel which has remained intact through the years, and the group has an existence separate from the commission of any specific racketeering act. So, hey, let's get on the record too that the 60s do have structure. They do have a hierarchy. There is someone at the top of this food chain. Fifth, had this gone to trial, the United States could have proven each and every element of count 1 and 3 beyond a reasonable doubt. So they putting it on the record that if this would have gone to trial, they could prove that what they said in overt act WW, that Rajon Cox and Warden were conspiring to sell weed. They could prove that for a fact, right? Beyond reasonable doubt. And then they say the United States submits to your honor that these representations, coupled with Mr. Cox's affirmative answers to the questions that you just asked, provide a sufficient factual basis. So the fact that we are saying that we can prove each and every element of count 1, coupled with the fact that he just said yes to you when you asked him if he conspired with other members to move drugs across state lines, is enough to say that he is in fact guilty and you can accept this plea. Now, y'all see how they just strung all of that together. They got him to admit to the overt act listed in WW without ever saying a name during the plea. But they specifically asked him about things that highlighted that he was talking about that instance. They made sure they were saying you did certain acts. You committed overt acts. And then his overt acts were listed, like I showed y'all. Weapons, the shooting, getting caught with the guns, and the conspiring to move the weed. So he didn't have to say dude's name. Once he admitted that he did it, it was over with. Dude was done.
How do you feel about that? He says, once you admitted that you did the overt acts, dude was done. All right. So we understand that somebody on the top of this indictment received a lot of time, obviously. Right. I think a lot of things had to be put into play, not caping for Surf or nothing like that. I just think a lot of things have to be brought into play. Are multiple people taking plea deals? Did people come together for Surf to get up out of here? Surf is probably like a money maker type of person. People could say, yo, listen, man, you just get the hell up out of here and maybe you could get right. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what the conversation is behind doors? That's one thing. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't speculate for that. So we'll just factor that in because people won't talk about that. He did get bagged for the straps. We understand that he got bagged for 2 weapons in one instance. He was with another member, allegedly. That's what the people say. And he was with a woman, a female, and there was a 40 and a 9 in the glove compartment. And the woman is the one that actually took the charges. All right. Shout out to the sister for doing that. That's crazy. I know guys that won't do that. So she takes the charges, and after she takes the charges, Surf gets away. But then Surf goes online and claims ownership of the weapons by saying, yo, man, they took my 40 and they took my 9 in specifics. And this is how they was able to bring that back into the case and into the indictment as Surf having ownership of the weapons, and he pled guilty to these same weapons. When it comes to plea dealing, especially in like a conspiracy in cases like that, it's hard not to tie people into what you're going to be pleading to, because everybody's tied into this as a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Everybody's connected by a thread, if not by more. We know that Young Thug says Gunna snitched because Gunna said, yo, YSL is a gang, and he feel that YSL should be disbanded or whatever the case, and it's not a good thing. All right. Regardless of anything else that Gunna said, because he was involved with a case with Young Thug as well when they was stopped on the highway one day. But just based on those things alone, half the world called Gunna a rat. You know what I mean? So hence, here we go with this. And a lot of people who maybe not even knowing about the system or how things go or profit agreement or the 5K or anything like that may just run with a story, you know? So how do you feel about Surf? Do you feel that Surf snitched? The crazy thing, but in Jersey, you know, I don't know. Maybe if you're from Jersey and you're hearing this, or you're from Jersey and you feel this way, like he snitched, then get in my comments. Let me know. You could come and talk on the channel. You could DM me and we could speak, you know what I'm saying, and have a conversation about what you think. But, you know what I'm saying, I'm from New York, you know what I'm saying, but I got people all through Jersey, you know what I mean, I got people in Newark and all that too, you know what I'm saying. Even when I popped out, you know what I'm saying, I'm only in one spot of Newark, or one or two spots, so it's not like I'm running around the whole Newark, you know what I mean, like John Gotti or something. But that's not really the vibe. People are not really saying that. They're not saying that Surf is a snitch, you know what I mean? And if people feel it, a lot of times, if we don't all feel it, we kind of wholly kind of feel the same kind of things, or we're leaning towards the same way a lot of times. But let me know how y'all feel. Do you think that Surf is a rat? Do you think that he told on Rollin 60 members? Do you feel taking a plea deal in a situation like that is snitching? You know what I'm saying? Because we understand RICOs, we understand what it was created for, right? And if you don't know, you know, it was created for mafias. It was created right here where Diddy was tried at, in the Southern District of New York. I'm from New York City. This is where it was created. And this is where it was created to stop the mafia and the people that were getting away with crimes that couldn't be touched because they were so higher up on the totem pole that when you get the soldiers and everybody else, they would never tell on the Godfathers. See what I'm saying? There was so many things, racketeering and different kind of things that they were doing or alleged to be doing. So this is how they were able to tie in the conspiracy. And this is what they created. They created the RICO laws, right? And those are the statutes that they brought. Those statutes was then in turn used on like minorities. They would deem them to be minorities, but people that look like me. I don't know if you look like me, but they were used against those people that was selling the drugs back in the days. The Alpos, you seen American Gangster, the Frank Lucases, these kinds of the peoples, all these kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? This is what it was created for. And then it was used against them to tie people up into conspiracy for drug charges and different things like that. The point of it, though, is that the mafia, even though we know that mafias ended up telling this, and people ended up telling, but the point of it was to be a code of silence for everybody to remain silent, for us all to just assume innocence, right? And nobody do no funny moves, nobody do nothing, and we just keep it as solid as we can. You know what I'm saying? We saw an instant of that with the BMF RICO. You know, some people say, yo, this side told, it was T side that told, it was me side that told. No, this side ain't tell. You know, but we know a lot of people in that RICO, in that indictment, did not tell. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully wish they all didn't tell. You know how it go. But, you know, they kept it solid for a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? They really stood down and they stood tall. So based on some of those things like that, people would say that Surf is a snitch too. I heard someone saying on a platform, I think it was a battle rapper, because, you know, the battle rappers was having a panel, and even one of them came to bring up things to say, nah, you ain't just supposed to say nothing. You're supposed to wait like everybody else. So now the point of contention also with Surf is that he took his time first. So if he took his time later than first, would that make a difference? Since he took his time first, it seems like he took his time and got up out of there instead of staying down with the gang or staying down with the people. You know what I'm saying? So this is another conversation of people are throwing into the conversation. So there's so many sides and thoughts on this, and I just want to put them all on the board. So what do you think, though? What do you think? Read the paperwork if you don't. I did a read. I'll do another read on the whole case because I just was reading Surf parts or whatever the case. I'll do a read on the whole case so that y'all can see. It's like 51 pages of just could break down the whole indictment itself. And I'll read the 51 pages for you. You know what I'm saying? So that you can see it. You ain't got to buy pace or whatever. I'll just read it so that you can get a sense of what the hell's going on. And we just don't have to be like a fucking hamster on a wheel, listening to what the next person says. And then we running with a story, because that's how we are online. Literally, we like that in real life. And that's sad to say, but we most definitely like that online. And then we factor in content plays and shit like that. So think about we damn sure on a hamster wheel with the shit. See what I'm saying? So It's about us getting to the information. It's about us really, really knowing what the hell's going on. And for me to really just call a person a rat, I got to really see it black and white. We got to really know from the people that was in the thing. They got to say it and all of that. So lead us down the road and then show it. Even if people that was in the case with Surf came out and said that Surf was a rat, we could probably lean. Let's say it's the top dude that's in there. He said it. We could lean and say, damn, son, that's real. Let's see what Surf say back. If he don't say nothing back, we might have to believe him. But still in all, what? We are going to have to see the paperwork proof to prove that. Nowadays, in this day, is crazy. You know what I'm saying? You don't even need paperwork to prove that someone's a rat. You could just say that someone's a rat and then the person's a rat. You know what I mean? Many people are losing their lives just being called rats and they're not rats. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with ratting, not at all. You know what I'm saying? I believe that if you're doing crime, just do your time. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? I believe in all those things. But it's just the lines are getting real blurred when it comes to what ratting is. You know what I mean? We was kids. We know if your ass you told grandma, you told a nigga, you snitched, man. It's just period, bro. We wasn't talking about, yo, I ain't say grandma like that. I ain't tell mommy that you did the other thing. We didn't ration it out. You did what you did and you snitched. You told. That's it. It was more simpler when we were young, bro. So now the lines are really blurred. But y'all get in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about the whole situation with Surf. Free Surf, man. Free that boy Surf. I say free him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, prove that he's a rat, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on nobody's side, bro. I don't know Surf personally. I don't. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? Even people from Jersey. So I just got to wait to see. And I'm going to read the whole case again. It's a technical one, man. It's a technical one because we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what the case is. We don't know if people said, Joe, listen, you take a plea, get the hell up out of here, boom, 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 you're an artist, da, da, da. We don't know, son. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. If we all going down, we living illegally, bro, and we have a person here that is actually living legally, come on, bro. You want this nigga to get the hell up out of here, bro. Why would you not? You'd be foolish to not want this nigga to get the hell up out of here and get some bread and help the gang. Whether they in jail or outside, Surf is able to help both sides. People in jail and the guys and the young guys even that's out on the streets, bro, besides anybody else as an artist or whoever else you think he is, bro. So we don't know if that's a factor. We don't know if that's a factor. And people will never factor things like that in because people not in jail. People never probably been there. People never been in no real situations, maybe. And they never probably, you know what I'm saying? They never been in situations like that. But I've seen shit like that. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it. So I'm just going to hold the brakes on it and just wait to see a little bit more, man. I'll just hear from someone a little bit closer than just random people on the internet that's going to say that a person snitch. You know what I'm saying? If he's really a snitch, then people from his side is going to be coming out. People from Jersey is going to be coming out, bro. How long will we have to wait for this? All we got to do is be patient, bro. It'll come out. Trust me, son. Trust me, son. This is the streets. We from it, bro. If he's really a rat, son, Jersey will be speaking up, son. And we'll hear that bullhorn from far, no matter where we at, son. Somebody from Jersey is going to speak out. Somebody in that case is going to speak out. Somebody close to someone in the case that's on the outside will speak out, bro. Trust me, son, because ain't none of us harboring a rat, bro. No matter what they got, bro. Trust me, son. Maybe some people will. I'm telling you, son. A lot of people's not going to harbor it. So we'll just wait. We'll just wait and just see exactly how that plays out. But, yo, listen, man, we also got Fani Willis. Yeah, man, she wilding again, y'all.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right
She
there.
wilding again. Everybody, make sure y'all subscribe to Uda On Go. Make sure y'all all subscribe to Uda On Go. Make sure you got the notification bells on all. And make sure that you notify when I'm dropping new content. All right, cool. Let's get into this breakdown from the Washington Paralegal Institute, D.C. We're going to break down this Fani Willis situation. You know, a lot of us are not politically savvy, and we don't understand this and this and that. So we're going to bring political minds, and we're going to bring legal minds in, right? As well as I'm going to bring them to my channel. I was gracious enough and grateful enough, and God was gracious enough that I met a lot of great people while I was covering the Diddy trial for 40 days. I met a lot of journalists, a lot of legal minds and people like that I'll be bringing to my channels to talk to us about certain things and fine-tune some of these things. You know what I mean? Break down the legal jargon and all of that stuff for us so that we can really get to the real substance of what situations are, any kind of cases. I do case reads, full paperwork reads, different things like that. I usually do trending topics, all these type of different things. And but you know, y'all can always suggest content that y'all want me to talk about. I want to go more into relationship content as well. I think that's a conversation that we all need to have. You know, I think people like you know, the Kevin G's, the Cynthia's, a few of them, you know what I'm saying? Not to say I'm against anyone, but I just think a lot of the talking points don't really help us. And even in all of the talking points, I never hear nothing about God. So if a person talked to me for every day and never said nothing about God, then I'd have to question something. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. to Kevin. I get it, but I don't think that he came to help us as a people. I don't. And maybe God took him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying this is what I think. Allegedly or whatever. That's what I think. You know what I mean? But because he just spawned a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? You could call them this or incels, whatever you want to call people, but I'm just saying he just spawned a lot of people that think they are like a Kevin, because Kevin probably had a little swag, he had the suits, he had the vibe, yeah, and he knew his joint, you know what I'm saying? But it spawned a lot of people that probably never got a girl in their life, probably this and that, and now they're the ones talking about this and relationships and girls and whatever the case. When you never had a chick in your life, you probably had one chick or all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a weird place we're in, where the people that's professional never even was that in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that it was professionals put the work in, put the time in, you know what I'm saying? We're in a confused time now. We're in a confused time. So let's listen to my brother break down what the hell's going on with Fani Willis. And everybody, make sure y'all dropping likes, make sure y'all subscribe and hit the notification bells, and make sure y'all subscribe to Uda On Go, which is my one of my main channels. Yeah, and hit the notification bells over there.
There was a person who she wanted to include, or who she was investigating to include in the Trump RICO, which currently has about, I think, 19 people, Trump and 18 other co-defendants. So she was investigating a 20th person. And due to her own actions, a judge said, Fani, you can no longer investigate that person. This was a couple of years ago. So she was disqualified from investigating someone that she wanted to potentially include in the Trump RICO. She was taken off of that case, and she had to transfer it to the Georgia Prosecutors Council. Now she's removed from the entire Trump RICO case, and instead of learning her lesson that she just is not doing her job correctly, that she keeps getting removed from cases due to her own activity, she instead wants to say and blame the Georgia State Supreme Court for being scared. Scared, y'all. So instead of learning her lesson, I've been removed from this case. I've been removed from that case, both due to my own actions, both as it relates to this Trump RICO. No, Fani, she can't learn the lesson. She says, no, it's their fault because they're scared of Trump. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. So today we're going to take a look at Fani's comments. And then again, at the end, I'm going to give you the proof that she was removed from a Trump RICO related investigation previously. So this is a pattern of activity with Fani. She gets taken off of cases because she's not doing her job correctly, y'all. Let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do, y'all, we have a new web page for my web page.
And finally, the Supreme Court of Georgia did, concerning the election interference case, could get mired down in technical legal details. But I think it's fair to say that what DA Fani Willis told us did not get bogged down in technicalities.
What's your reaction to what the Georgia Supreme Court did or elected not to do?
I think judges are human beings. We are living in a culture of fear. It did not surprise me.
Our appointment for an interview with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis involved a story we're pursuing about a recent murder conviction. But she says while we were there, she was willing to talk to us about another big story involving a recent Georgia Supreme Court decision in which the state's highest court voted 4-3 not to hear the DA's office's appeal of a lower court's effective removal of Ms. Willis in her office as prosecutors in the election interference case in which now President Donald Trump and others have pled not guilty.
So, y'all, a trial court, that's the lowest level of court, they took Fani off the case. The appeals court reviewed the trial court's decision and agreed. So you have two courts saying, Fani, in this Trump RICO case, because you decided to both pay an outside prosecutor to help and then have an intimate relationship with him where he's giving you gifts and taking you on trips and buying you things. Well, the money that you paid him, we don't know for sure that he's not circling that same money back around to take you on a trip. So it looks bad. So we're removing you. Okay. Any person in the universe could understand how that looks bad. Was it actually bad? Was he actually paying for Fani to go on a trip with the same money that she paid him out of the public money to prosecute Trump? Who knows? We don't know, but it looks bad. So we just can't, you can't go forward, Fani. You couldn't keep it in your pants. It's your fault, right? But Fani says, no, it's not my fault. It's y'all are scared of Trump. Y'all, you can't make this stuff. I might have to say that a few more times, y'all. You can't make this stuff up.
DA Willis says she believes the executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, who bears the responsibility of trying to find another prosecutor to take over the election interference case or to keep it for PAC, has a tough job.
The reality is it's going to be hard to find a prosecutor that's not afraid to prosecute that case when one of the primary defendants is threatening anyone that would dare to prosecute them. Not only do they not have the resources to do the case, but there's fear-mongering going on right now.
And there aren't that many very large DA's offices in Georgia with the resources to handle something like this. And number two, politically, it's a hot potato.
Okay, so it's going to be difficult for somebody to pick up your mess because Trump is making threats. Somebody making threats does make things more difficult. So, I mean, that's true. If you don't have threats, it's easier than if you do have. I haven't seen Trump threaten anybody personally, but who knows? I don't know. I haven't seen that. But what I will say is this. You're going to see at the end of this video, I'm going to loop it in. The last time she was removed, remember, I said it's the second time she's removed from a Trump RICO related case. The first time it was one defendant. This time it's the whole case. The last time the Georgia Prosecutor Council did pick up the investigation and they decided not to move forward. That wasn't due to any threats. That was just because they said that the guy did nothing wrong. Okay. You're going to see that here shortly.
And as usual, she was not going to pull punches.
I think you have both prosecutors, citizens, and even judges that are afraid right now for good reason. And so it didn't surprise me. There's many members of that Supreme Court I'm very fond of, but they're human beings. They have families, and I'm sure they were afraid to do anything other than that.
We reached out to a public information officer for the Supreme Court of Georgia who emailed, "I cannot comment beyond what the court has already said in its written opinions about these cases."
The Supreme Court only addresses issues of greater legal importance to the entire state of Georgia. And they said this case wasn't one of those cases.
For perspective, we turn to defense lawyer and former DeKalb District Attorney Robert James.
The Supreme Court specifically did not make a finding about DA Willis's conduct.
We reached out to Steve Sadow, lawyer for President Trump. Sadow's statement said in part, quote, "Willis's reaction to the Georgia Supreme Court's fundamentally correct decision, refusing to hear the case by claiming it was due to its fear of President Trump, is absolutely ludicrous," unquote. It added, quote, "She brought a political prosecution against the 45th and 47th president of the U.S. who is innocent," unquote. It also said, quote, "She refused to accept the odor of mendacity found by the trial court and simply expected the Georgia Court of Appeals to gloss over it," unquote. The statement concluded, quote, "Her disqualification was the result of what she did and for no other reason," unquote. Now, I read some of defense lawyer Steve Sadow's comments to DA Willis. She said she would not dignify it with a response. Reporting live in downtown Atlanta, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
So, y'all, I'm going to loop in a brief report from when Fani was removed last time. So you can just see this is a pattern of activity. So you can see that she's delusional, y'all. And that's my opinion. Okay. She's delusional. Or she's just, she's just not willing to publicly admit her faults. She did that day in the church, if y'all saw that, but not anymore. That was a one-time affair. So y'all just take a look at this real quick about how she was removed from the case previously.
And examples of actual conflict that I saw in your pleading were somehow the prosecutor was able to be like a defense attorney at the same, like for the guy's brother. I mean, it was these things where, what were you thinking?
It was kind of crazy. Yeah. I represent one co-defendant as a defense attorney in a criminal proceeding, become DA, and then prosecute the co-defendant.
Okay.
That makes no sense, and that's not the situation we've got here. But that's the kind of extreme example of what the law recognizes as an actual conflict for a prosecuting attorney. It's, I represent. At one time, I represented the victim in a case that is now before me in the divorce proceeding against the defendant in the case. It's that kind of really striking in your face, and routine political support for a political ally, it doesn't make it there. It doesn't go that far.
But routine, I would interpret as Mr. Wade strokes a check for a candidate he wants to support. Using the title of your office and having on social media that you as this political office holder are holding a fundraiser for the opponent of someone that this political office is investigating. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking? Where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment. The optics are horrific. If you are trying to have the public believe that this is a nonpartisan, driven by the facts, and I'm not here to critique decisions, the decision was made, but if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing facts in a nonpartisan sense, no matter who the district attorney is, we follow the evidence where it goes and ignore the fact that I hosted a fundraiser for the political opponent of someone I've just named a target. That strikes me as problematic, maybe not from an actual conflict level, but if we are at a cocktail party and people are asking, do you think that this is a fair and balanced approach to things? I do. Well, how do you explain this? How does one explain? I mean, that's the concern I'm working through, is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights fundraiser district attorney for the political opponent of someone I've named the target of my investigation, where I'm the legal advisor to the grand jury, and I'm on national media almost nightly talking about this investigation. That's problematic.
Okay. Not accepting the entirety of the court's characterization of the series of events. I'm going to respond to that a couple ways. First, still not a legal conflict. Still not anything within the court's discretion to remedy in the way that Mr. Dillon has advocated on behalf of Senator Jones. So as a legal matter, everybody can talk at cocktail parties all they want and watch the cable news station of their choosing. But no matter what, it still doesn't amount to a legal conflict under Georgia law. Second, I want to direct the court's attention to that.
So there you saw what happened in court. The lady is arguing on behalf of Fani. Fani was not there representing herself. She had this attorney representing her. And the attorney's arguing, hey, there's the appearance of impropriety. Literally, this is the same thing she's disqualified for now. Okay. This happened a couple of years ago, too. There might be the appearance of impropriety, but but that shouldn't matter. Court said, yeah, it does matter. Fani, you're off the case.
A special prosecutor has determined there will be no charges for Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones in the 2020 election interference case.
That's right. The director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, Pete Skandalakis, took over the matter in April after Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis was barred from prosecuting Jones in her case.
Skandalakis says Jones acted in a manner consistent with his position and was representing his constituents' concerns when he signed an electoral college certificate falsely declaring former President Donald Trump the winner of the election in Georgia. In a statement, Jones said, in part, I have always wanted to tell my story in front of a fair and unbiased prosecutor, which Fani Willis clearly is not. I'm thankful that I finally had the opportunity to do that.
So my point here, everybody, is that, Fani's deflecting. She's trying to blame the court for her own missteps. But and what else would we expect from somebody who has the track record she has? I mean, would you expect her to own up to it and make a change in her life? Nah, that's not going to happen. So let me know what y'all think about this, y'all. Do you agree with Fani that the Supreme Court of Georgia is afraid of Trump and that's why she was released from the case or removed from the case? Or do you think, we saw you removed from the case previously. We see you removed from the case again. Maybe it's your fault, Fani. What do y'all think? Let me know down in the comments. Before you do, y'all, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. Yes, I do say mediums instead of media. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people with the retirement, go down, click the first link in the description, PARALEGOLD.com, Paralegold. Find out how you can protect your retirement from the upsies, downsies, roundsies, and the roundsies. And you can also reach out to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.